All right, our studio sneak peek. Jason is almost done with the humpback whale.
You get a whale, you get a whale, you get a whale.
Does anyone else think of Oprah when you think about humpback whales? I don't know. But anyway.
Dane Cook. I think it's a Dane Cook
Is
joke.
it? Okay. Yeah. So tell us what you learned here at the end of this painting.
Well, for my normal process, I usually, when I think I'm done, I usually let it sit for a week or two and just kind of look at it as I walk by it, just to kind of see if there's anything else that needs to be done to it. And I came across a really interesting quote the other day about artists and a tip for critiquing your art. And the idea was to imagine that it was done by your enemy. And it said that if you look at it just to admire it, you're lost. So oftentimes I will admit, there are times where I look and I'm like, man, that looks really good. I can't believe I actually did that and pulled it off.
Right? Check
And
this beauty
so
out.
it was really helpful to kind of re-examine it as if like, okay, if this was my worst enemy, how would I pick this apart? So that actually helped, because one of the things that I did, the palm trees were a little bit too uniform in their color. They looked a little flat because it was just like green, light green, dark green. So I wanted to put in more color, a little bit more detail, just to try to give them a little bit more life. And then the other thing that I did was I put a real thin glaze of color right here where there's, to give it a little bit more shadow, to give it a little bit more depth, that it's, you know, the little girl here, my daughter, is in the wake of this whale, and there's a little bit shadow there. So it's subtle. It might not come across on the camera, but it just adds a little bit more depth to the painting, ties all the pieces a little bit more together. So I'm not sure that I would have noticed that if I would have not had such a critical eye. And so I guess it's a good lesson, even if you're not an artist, is if you want to improve yourself, think about if you were your enemy and you were sitting on the other side of the table, to say like, how would I pick myself apart? Now, normally we don't need help picking ourselves apart.
Right.
But if there's an area that you think is normally a strength, that might be a good technique, is to think of it from that perspective.
Cool. Thanks, Jay.